Hello everyone, it's Aluminium Man. Now it's been a couple of years since Marvel's Avengers was first announced. Despite a lot of people either loving or hating it all throughout its production, including those moments of trailers and war table reveals, we finally have it. Now that most people are finally able to play the game and make their final judgments, I have to say that for the most part, people are really loving this game. And it must be said, Crystal Dynamics have knocked it out of the park. So I thought it was only appropriate to give my review of the full game, and to keep things simple and to stop myself from going on too many tangents, I'm going to break this down into different segments and go over what works well and what doesn't work so much. I'm going to stay away from spoilers in this video, however bear in mind it is still a review. Now before I start with the story, there will be a more in-depth review in a separate video because there is so much to go through and I want to stay away from talking about any spoilers in this video. But overall, the main story crafted for this game is outstanding. It's a unique take on the characters that by now we all know and love, and we have seen quite a lot of these characters recently within the MCU and all the animated series. Despite this, Crystal Dynamics have done an amazing job at developing a story that from the start pulls you straight in. Essentially, it's all about MODOK trying to get rid of all the superheroes in the world, and the Avengers have to find a way to stop him. Predominantly, it is a Kamala Khan story as it follows her on her journey of trying to reassemble the Avengers. She is the heart of the story and you really feel it. And I have to say well done to Crystal Dynamics because they do manage to make her a really compelling character that you want to see succeed. And you see her develop from at the start just a small little fangirl to the end by being a fully fledged member of the Avengers. Some of the missions within the story, however, begin to feel a little repetitive in regards of just having to fight what feels like at times Ultron's robot army. The enemies seem to be endless, as it has you thinking that after all this, AIM isn't going to have an army left. Now, if anything, these missions there just to fill in the gaps between the action sequences and the cutscenes. But they do still offer a really good way of exploring the environments that you are in and that you visit. Where the campaign really shines through though is with the story itself. In previous games, I'm definitely one to just skip through the cutscenes just so I can get on and play the game. But for this, I think I may have been more excited to watch the cutscenes and the different action set pieces that it had to offer, because that's where you really see things get fleshed out and where the story gets interesting. You really get invested into it and the characters that you see, and you want to pay attention to everything that goes on. MODOK is an exceptional villain to face the Avengers, as he was really well written in this game. Thankfully, he wasn't created because of Stark, nor is he just an evil version of the hero he's fighting against. Every time he's on screen, you can almost feel the evil oozing out of his head. He poses a serious threat to our heroes, and he's just genuinely an interesting character to watch. All in all, this campaign was thrilling, exciting, surprising, and even heartwarming at times, and I cannot wait to see where Crystal Dynamics takes this story in the future. If you had told me a few years ago that we would have a AAA superhero game with a team of different heroes, I probably would have laughed at you. Superhero games have usually been unsuccessful when it comes to developing proper heroes. I know there have been exceptions, but you would more than likely only bring up solo title games like Spider-Man or Batman, which were great games, but it's because they were able to focus on those heroes and build the world around them. And that's because it's difficult to take such heroes, so many of them as well, and contain them within a game. However, whenever I pick one of the currently 6 heroes we have, it truly feels as though I'm playing exactly who they should be. Hulk feels as heavy as he looks, Black Widow is as agile and as fast as a spider, Iron Man is packing as many weapons as he can fit into his suit. Crystal Dynamics have done a superb job of creating unique characters that are true to their comic counterpart, while not making each hero any less or more than the next. Along with the heroes playing as they should, they sound exactly how you expect them to sound. The voice acting for each hero is spot on. They have managed to find that sweet spot between being familiar to what we already know, yet bringing their own to make each character feel fresh. The quality of this game is exceptional, and some of the set pieces are absolutely stunning. You can really see the effort that's gone into designing the characters, the environments, and the effects that you see. If you ever have a moment when you drop into one of the outdoor missions, Just take a moment and look off into the distance. There is so much detail in the game, which is true up close as well. The textures for the characters is outstanding, and if you've not played the game yet, let me tell you that the videos you see of it doesn't do the game justice. You can actually see that this game was built with the next gen consoles in mind, and I'm excited to see its true potential when those games releases. However, with such detailed and high quality designs brings with it its own issues. And because there is sometimes a lot of stuff going on, especially with so many enemies to fight, you get bugs like frame rate lag kicking in, and in some cases it's worse than others. Like I said, there's definitely some ambition towards creating a massive game that would work for the next gen consoles, so you can see why they may, in a sense, be held back by the current generation consoles. Now, in a game where you're going to be fighting a lot of enemies, and I don't think you understand how many enemies you are going to be fighting unless you've played this game, you need to make sure you've got a strong combat system. And for the most part, Crystal Dynamics have built a solid system that works all around. Some people have argued that it's not in depth or perhaps as rewarding as, say, some of the other games out there right now. And yeah, you may be right, because those systems wouldn't work for this game. With a plethora of characters to choose from, and many more on their way, Crystal Dynamics needed to create a system that works around different heroes, all with different abilities, strengths and weaknesses. Even though it may be simple, it's effective, and it allows the introduction of new heroes constantly without having to redesign new systems for each of those heroes. You have a light attack, a heavy attack, and then you've got some combos and some extra abilities. It's more or less a one size fits all, but this being said, each character still offers a variety of different playstyles, with the variations on specific abilities and attributes allowing you to play each hero how they were meant to be played. One downside to this combat system that I've come across myself is that sometimes I found myself button smashing, well, not necessarily smashing buttons, but spamming the same attacks. In some of the bigger missions when fighting against bigger groups of enemies, it's not as easy to attempt to be dodging and parrying or trying to use all these different attacks at your disposal. When you're getting surrounded, you have three options. Either spend your time constantly dodging, get the fuck out of there, or you use whatever ability you have that can do as much damage to as many people in one go as possible, and you repeat it until either everyone is dead or you're down to a more manageable size, and you can bring it down to sort of experimenting all with these different combos. Of course, as with most games, customization is commonplace. It serves many different purposes and provides many different advantages, and with Marvel's Avengers this is no exception. You can customize your heroes in almost any way you want. This game offers skill and gear upgrades as well as cosmetic customization. The skill upgrades essentially allows your characters to have more attacks, special attacks, as well as changing how some abilities work. The gear upgrades give you better stats in the game. They are what determines your character's power level. High level gear equals more powerful attacks, which is pretty simple. There's nothing game changing about this, there's just quite a lot of it, but some of the skill upgrades do go quite deep, which can make your hero feel more unique in comparison to other players. It's a pretty simple system to figure out, and once you have, it's just easy to go through it. And as I say, with many more heroes to come, a simple customization system that's still effective has been done really well in this game, so well done to Crystal Dynamics. Again, this goes for the cosmetics as well. In most games nowadays, there will be some form of cosmetic customization. However, what's great about this game is Crystal Dynamics have given us the opportunity to make our heroes look exactly like their debut versions back in the 60s or the 70s, and it's just super nostalgic. However, some of the cosmetics are behind a paywall. If you don't pay for them, you ain't going to get them, which sucks because personally I'm not one to spend more money on a game than I need to, and there are certain cosmetics that do look absolutely amazing. With free DLC coming in the future, you can understand where this pay system has come into play. One of the biggest things about this game is teaming up as the Avengers with other people online. And while there are a ton of different game modes to choose from, some of the level designs and missions are quite repetitive. First off, you'll start by dropping off into a level, and the first thing you have to do is fight a ton of enemies. Once you've done that, you then go inside, down an elevator, to then fight more enemies. And once you've gotten past that, through another door, you're fighting a load more enemies, except this time there's usually an objective to either capture, defend, or destroy. While the outdoor environments are usually quite expansive, the interiors, despite being very well designed, are almost always the same. Once you've been in 3 of them, you've been in all of them, and this can get quite boring quite quickly, so it's a good thing that there are so many modes to choose from. An upside on the missions is that most of them have some sort of overarching narrative that goes along with them, so it does keep you engaged because you want to see where the story's going. Regardless of which mission you load into, there are some amazing multiplayer moments. For instance, is team takedowns on bigger enemies like the mechs. Some of the team finishes are absolutely brutal, but it's actually so cool to see some of these Avengers coming together to take down enemies. Those are the moments that you live for in this game. As of recording this, the game is still fairly new, with the addition of a few patches inevitable, but I have noticed a few bugs that do need mentioning. There is so much in this game you could say that there is too much. There have been a few instances of frame rate lag with how many explosions are happening on screen, and on occasion parts of the level haven't loaded in properly and I'm just left looking at what appears to be the underneath of the world. In the last campaign mission, I even had my character straight up disappear. He was still there, I could move and attack, but you just couldn't see him. And that was the same for some of the enemies I was fighting. The character models just disappeared, which to say the least definitely affected the immersion of the game. You know, as I'm getting hit by someone I can't even see and I can't even see where I am. It even got to the point I had to reload the level. It was that bad. But thankfully, it's not something I've experienced again. Other than this, there hasn't been anything that, at least I can say consistently, is there to be game breaking. And with it being very new, I'm giving Crystal Dynamics the benefit of the doubt that these will be fixed. With all of this being said, with some of the level designs being quite repetitive, there being a few minor bugs in the game, and with something that doesn't really have much of an interesting soundtrack, this game has definitely exceeded expectations among the player base. It has a strong story, beautiful visuals, and an all-round fun multiplayer experience. Crystal Dynamics have made an absolutely amazing game that really does the source material justice. It brings us one of the best superhero games we've seen recently, if not ever, and I'm excited to see where this game goes in the future. However, that will do us for this video. I want to know what everyone else thinks of this game. Does anyone else agree with my review? Do people actually like it more than dislike it? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, Hulk smash that like button and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all things Marvel's Avengers related. But for now, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.